Here's what happened online this week. Is New York planning on banning 3D printers? One of the biggest YouTubers on the platform is stalking and harassing another, and a 4th grade teacher showed their students an R-rated horror movie. First up, the New York State Senate has proposed a bill to require background checks for the purchase of 3D printers. I first came across this story on Reddit, on the 3D printing subreddit, and I gotta say this whole thing is just ridiculous. Whoever wrote this bill is completely disconnected from reality and has no clue about 3D printing. So you might be wondering, why would anyone want to require background checks for 3D printers? Well, this is meant to stop people from printing their own firearms. The wording in the bill is super generic and could cause a lot of problems for the 3D printing community. Sale of certain 3-dimensional printers. Any retailer of a 3-dimensional printer sold in this state, which is capable of printing a firearm or any components of a firearm, is required and authorized to request and receive criminal history information concerning such purchaser from the Division of Criminal Justice Services in accordance with the provisions of Section 845B of the Executive Law. One of my biggest problems with this bill is the wording of any components of a firearm. So the buttstock is a component of the firearm, and just about any 3D printer could print that. So are we just gonna outright require background checks for every 3D printer now? If it's referring to components used in the actual firing of the weapon, which it doesn't specify, but for argument's sake, let's say it does. My slightly better than average 3D printer could probably print something that could shoot a bullet. It might only work one time, but technically it would work. So would I need a background check? Politics aside, there's a million other ways to buy or make a more effective weapon. This is America after all. Policing a hobby for us nerds is just a waste of time. You think we're out here making weapons? Here, look, this is something I printed. Now I also saw this on the technology subreddit, which quickly devolved into people just listing all the ways you can make a more effective weapon at home, which YouTube doesn't like, so I'm gonna kind of blur this out. Next up, we have the situation between SS Sniper Wolf, or is it just Sniper Wolf? Honestly, I don't really care. And Jax Films, where she literally committed a crime. If you're not familiar with SS Sniper Wolf, first off, lucky you, but she's a React YouTuber with over 30 million subscribers. She's been under fire lately because her videos seem more like just re-uploading viral videos from TikTok rather than adding any commentary to it. Now, I'm all for fair use content, but one of the key things about it is it has to be transformative in some way. You have to change it in some unique way or add some sort of commentary to it. For example, I'm going to be using a short clip from one of her videos, but it'll be fair use because I am using it in the context of a larger story and adding some commentary to it. She uploads pretty much daily, and her videos consist of just playing the video and then watching it and maybe going, wow, or that's crazy. Or sometimes just literally playing the video and saying nothing at all about it.
Your carpet a little trimmy trim. It's like brand new under there.
That was it. That was the whole thing. Nothing else was added to that. Now, where it gets wild is Jax Films has been very critical of her lately, calling out her content, even making a parody channel where he just reacts to her reacting to videos.
The liquid's not liquid though. It's chunky ice because the ice is hard. It's not water. It should be liquid, but it's actually ice. You can tell because it's.
Now, she responded to this by showing up to his house, taking a picture and sharing it with her followers.
Last night, Sniper Wolf, a massive YouTuber, showed up outside of our home, recorded a video of our home, and then posted it to her 5.6 million Instagram followers, goading me with the line, "Let's talk like adults."
Now, it's not ironic, but it's fitting that a React YouTuber would overreact to a situation like this. Now, the act of doxing itself isn't considered a crime, but it could be considered stalking, intimidation, or harassment, which are crimes. All it takes is one of her 30 million fans to take this as a call to action, and then that could cause some serious problems. You never know how people are going to react to this. It's completely unacceptable, but nothing's probably going to come of this because she has such a big following count. Next and finally, we have this hilarious story that comes out of the place where all good stories come from, Florida. I came across this on Reddit, and the headline reads, "Miami teacher showed Winnie the Pooh blood and honey to 4th grade class. A mental health counselor has met with students who expressed concern. Fourth graders at a K-12 charter school in Miami Springs got an upsetting Halloween surprise when their teacher screened the horror movie Winnie the Pooh, Honey and Blood. Apparently the teacher gave the kids the choice of a movie, and a couple of the kids selected that one, and I could see maybe getting tricked by the title, maybe not reading the full thing, but apparently they watched 20 to 30 minutes of this, and the kids were complaining the whole time, yet the teacher just let it go that long. Now, I haven't seen it because it just looks horrible and the ratings are awful, but from the trailer, it looks pretty gruesome and could definitely scar some kids for life. The movie looks like Friday the 13th meets Winnie the Pooh. Like, I love horror movies now, but as a kid, like definitely still in the 4th grade, I would have been horrified by this. I couldn't even overhear a horror movie without freaking out. Like if my parents were watching something and I just walked by and caught it in my peripherals, I would have had nightmares for weeks. And like, I legitimately had night terrors, and I'd wake up screaming, and my parents probably hated me for that. But I could see this being a big problem for some of these kids. I feel like if you were terrified by horror movies as a kid, you grow up to be obsessed with them. So maybe this is the origin story for the next Guillermo del Toro. Well, that's all I have for this week. If you liked the video, leave a like, consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time.